we back with another video. Ow, you already know who I am, but today I have a special guest to bring in the topics that you already seen as the title of this video. So without further ado, I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hey guys, my name is LaShante Ty. I'm owner of Cookie Crumbs Bakery here in Snellville.
Y'all, the cakes, beesbomb.com.
I didn't say it, she said it.
Yeah, black owned. If you need her services, I will link it right here. It will also be in the description, but however, you're gonna see the social media, all her information at the bottom of the screen. All right, so like this video, comment and subscribe, turn those notifications on so you can be alerted for when a new video come. All right, so as you already know what we're gonna be talking about, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right, marriage. That's big.
That's huge.
Big topic.
At least it should be huge, right?
It should be.
It's a big deal.
It should be.
It's a big deal.
Let's see. First question. Why do you think people nowadays get married?
Listen, I think it's a lot of different reasons.
It is. It is.
I think probably number one would be, I would say number one might be security. If I had to guess, I would say number one might be security. I think love should definitely be one of the reasons people get married, and I do believe that a lot of people are still getting married because they absolutely adore each other. But I would go so far as to say that people like security.
I say I don't think people loving each other no more.
No,
it's a general statement. I think, you know, some people love each other.
Yeah.
However, I think people see it as an accomplishment nowadays.
It's like something to check off your list.
It's a checklist. Marriage, check. Or no, engaged, dating, got me a man. Got me, you know, more women. Got me a man, check. Got dating, check. I'm married, you know, I'm engaged, check. And then they go to married, check. Which sometimes, you know, they come up with issues inside of the marriage because it's more of an accomplishment than something they necessarily, the love aspect, the connection aspect, the compatible is missing.
Okay, I can believe it. I can agree with that.
Yes. However, I do think security too. Some people security.
Yeah, but do these people stay married though, you think?
I don't think.
If you married for security, do you stay married? Because what if security is not as secure as you thought it was?
Who get married for security? Is it the man or the female or both?
Ooh, I think now in 2020, definitely both.
Definitely both. Okay.
But I believe in past, now, and probably still in the future, a lot of women marry men for security. But I believe these men are wising up. Like, they're not just, you know, allowing women to not bring anything to the table. They have standards. They have things that they're looking for as well. So just a pretty face is no longer working.
It's not.
Yeah.
In some cases. Because some men do look to just take care of somebody.
Yeah.
Hit me up, social media at the bottom of this page.
That sounds like some shit. Wait a minute. She not.
Yeah, who knows? All right, so with that being said, do you think marriage is simple, and or can it be simple?
No, absolutely, marriage is not simple, and marriage should not be simple. I think generally speaking, someone may say, oh yeah, it's simple, because a lot of people don't believe what we believe. Spiritual with that being said, spiritual wise, don't believe so it's not something to take lightly, is what I mean. When I hear simple, I think about something not being taken as serious as it needs to be taken. So they don't address it with the type of enthusiasm as they should when they're hitting certain points in their life where they're hitting these rough spots or whatever. They're not taking it as seriously because they looked at it as it's something simple. But no, I don't think it's simple.
What are the biggest downfalls in marriage? Because There's some.
Listen,
There are a lot.
listen. It's a
To
lot.
some.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot to anybody. And of course, every relationship is different. You know, like even
This is
previously
true.
as we talked about, you know, money issues, communication issues, intimacy issues, all these issues. I'm gonna have issues in my relationship that you may not ever have to face.
Right.
You know, if I'm being transparent, and what else can I be? Me and my husband has had more financial issues than I think anything. Number two would probably be communication. I've always said that if we got on the same page about those issues, we would be unstoppable. I really believe we're coming into that right now. And I believe that breeds better sex and better intimacy.
But let me ask you this, because you said those two things. Do you think in a dating phase, okay, if you would have talked about the communication, or you could talk about finances and financial, but however, once you get in, something could happen. So that's here nor there. But if you talked about the expectations of communication or what was deemed important, do you think that would be now a downfall? Because they already become a downfall in a sense, because maybe they weren't properly communicated as maybe they should have been. Not all the time, but maybe sometimes.
Absolutely, that's a great point, and I do agree that maybe it won't be as much of a downfall. But the reason I say that it could still be is in the dating phase, I think a lot of people don't show up as themselves.
Performance oriented.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people show up as themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, I do believe that it could still be a downfall. Maybe it won't be as rough. Maybe it won't be as hard if you've already had these discussions. But these discussions only bring to light how I feel. Now we have to do something about it. We don't know really how long that's gonna take.
Right.
If I tell you, you know, in the dating phase, if I tell you, hey, listen, I got an issue with this. I really don't like this type of thing. Da 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 da. You may can hear me, but if that's not who you are and you don't agree with me, it's gonna take you a moment to really shift into that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what that process. It's a process. I don't know what
But
that
they
process
have
is
to
gonna
be
look like.
open. They definitely have to be open and teachable, because if they're not, then they're not going to try to adapt to what you're trying to say that's important to you.
Agreed.
But I think, like, you go back to what you were saying, or what we said earlier, a lot of times downfalls, and sometimes their downfalls are bigger to certain couples because they didn't express or talk about it or communicate properly about it during the courting phase.
Correct.
And when we get to that courting phase, we should be communicating more in depth of each other, of what we see, because at this point we see a future with each other. So at that point, I should be saying what my expectations are, currently what they are, and what I think, even if I may have never been married, I say my expectations, this is what I think this is what it's going to be. To where, hey, communication is going to be big to me. It is big to me now. We gotta communicate about everything. You know, I want to date, I want to be married to my best friend. So communication is a big thing to me. I could say transparency, trust, I could have my list. So if I am communicating my expectations, once we get married, possibly we're going to have those stumbling blocks, like you said, but maybe they won't be as big because we have talked about it. And maybe because we have talked about it, we will maybe kind of gauge of how to deal with it once we hit there, if we do hit it.
Oh yeah, I think all that's possible in a perfect world and in a perfect relationship. The truth of the matter, when you're talking about expectations, having these conversations about expectations in the beginning, a lot of us, listen, no shade to y'all too, don't know what we expect. We don't know what to expect. We don't know what we want. Okay. A lot of us want what we see. We don't really know what it took to be in a 25 or 50-year marriage. We see that, and that's ideal to us, you know, but we don't really know what it took to
We're looking at the years, but not the process.
We're not looking at the process.
We're not looking at the process.
And a lot of people aren't really sharing the process. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop doing that. We got to be open about our relationships so we can help those that are
But
thinking
people
about
don't
being
share
married.
it because they be scared what people gonna think about.
Of course.
They don't want to be real.
Of course.
So they don't share it because it's like, no, I don't want to tell my business. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to let people in.
Yeah, you're gonna have issues, right? You're gonna have these stumbling blocks. And again, we can talk about these expectations really, but if I don't know what to expect, especially if I don't know about you, my mom wasn't married. My dad wasn't around. My grandmother was not married. My grandmother who raised me was not married. I wasn't around married couples.
Okay.
The only couples I was around that were married was when I went to church. I would see my pastor and his wife, right? I only saw them on Sundays. Excuse me. I only saw them on Sundays. I would see other people in the church who were married, you know what I mean? But I wasn't spending time with them. I don't know how they interacted with each other. You know, I don't know what, I didn't know what to expect.
And people be putting on a show.
A whole show.
A whole show.
I didn't know what to expect. And my husband was not raised in a two-parent household, so he didn't he didn't know what a father or a husband looked like either.
Okay.
And so the odds are stacked against a lot of us in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? As far as knowing what to expect. You don't know what to expect. Again, I think a lot of people are forced in a way to do it backwards, because you don't know what you want until you don't get it, and you like, wait, I need you to do this.
I have to agree. I don't think I knew of some of my expectations. I didn't know fully of what I wanted and what I expected until I did it. And then I learned it.
Yep.
Like, hey, this is what I want. This is what I expect out of a relationship.
And you probably didn't think to have these conversations in the beginning.
I didn't.
And then there's this blissfulness, right, that you're in the beginning.
The honeymoon stage?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're in this, and they really can do no wrong. There are some situations I look back on and I be like, girl, you was silly.
You a fool.
Listen, you fool you. Yeah, if I could go back and do it knowing what I know now. If I could go and do it knowing what I know now, I definitely wouldn't do it the same way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it does, like I said, it doesn't mean that I don't love him. I do love him, and I love where we are. And
Intimacy versus sex. Biggest downfall.
I believe that is also included in all the other stuff we didn't talk about, finances, communication, all those things that we don't have to go that deeper. But intimacy, I believe intimacy and sex is a huge downfall, because I believe that all the other stuff kind of stifles the intimacy and the sex. All the other issues, the bad communication, you know, the mishandling of funds, all of those things stifle those things. Why would I want to have sex with somebody that ain't paying the bills? And why would he want to be intimate with somebody that ain't willing to fold clothes? I'm just talking about myself. I ain't throwing no rocks behind my hands, sis. I'm talking about me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nobody else. But yeah, I believe intimacy and sex, and they are different.
Yes, very much so different. Very much so different. I think that when you hear intimacy, a lot of people stand to where they look at females and say, okay, we think we want to be intimacy with our mind. We got to have the whole conversation, and we got to have these things, versus guys their mindset might just be sex. A woman can say, if you can't stimulate me mentally and give me the intimacy that I'm looking for, then I don't want to have sex with you, because I'm not going to be as into it as I should be. Yeah. But then when you flip it, a man can say, well, you're not giving me, you know what I'm saying? Now you're not giving me sex. You mine. You mine. I'm supposed to get that thing when I want to get that thing. Yeah. But now you telling me I can't get that thing.
Yeah. Now what you think I'm gonna do?
Now what you think I'm gonna do?
I'm gonna go find another thing?
I might be tempted to look at another thing.
You might be
tempted. Or find another thing.
And have another thing.
But here we are at a downfall.
That's a downfall. This is a huge downfall. This is a downfall / deal breaker that like might send you to jail.
Come on.
It could.
It could.
Yeah. If a man is doing his job and giving you intimacy, it's not a problem that you're gonna give him sex whenever, however, wherever.
Right.
With an exclamation mark, I think you said.
I did.
You did. Now, with that being said, I don't I do believe that they don't understand that concept. Maybe it's a lack of maturity. But yeah, because what I was about to say is the truth of the matter is women enjoy sex just as much as men do. We do. We want it just as bad. We enjoy it just as much.
If it's good.
Well, listen.
If it ain't,
that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother video.
Oh, it is. Okay, it is.
That's a whole nother video.
But we want it just as much.
But we do want it, and so the act itself is not hard.
It's not.
It's not hard. And here's the thing. I've even had conversations where I've said, well, if you want it, you can get it. But are you really going to enjoy it? Because if you're just going to get it just because it's yours, then we're both really being immature, because the objective is I meet your need and you meet my need. Even before we hit the sheets.
Wow.
Even before we hit the sheets. Even before we hit the kitchen counter. Even before we hit the pool table.
Right.
Me and my cousin talked about that. Y'all don't know that. I should. But yeah, even before we hit those things, we're already ready, because you've given me what I need, and I'm already ready to serve you.
Okay, but now for the men, because I love y'all, so I gotta play devil's advocate. But even if he doesn't meet them the way you desire it to be met, we cannot not do it.
Oh yeah. Listen.
So
listen. So what you're saying is, because I just want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. What you're saying is, even if he's not being intimate, I want to be clear, because of what we believe spiritually, we still don't have the right to withhold from him. Technically we don't, and we shouldn't, which is why I said you can get it. I've said that in my life.
Yeah, but it's not going to be enjoyable.
You can get it.
It's not going to be enjoyable if we both are, which
I'm a laser like a brick.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be petty.
Which goes to, this is facts. When you are being intimate sexually, not even just sexually, I should always have the mindset of pleasing you. You should always have the mindset of pleasing me.
Right.
That way, it's nobody lacks. It's zero selfishness in the midst of it, because I'm gonna get pleased. We're both gonna get pleased because we're always thinking about the other person. But if I'm thinking about myself and you thinking about me, then it's gonna be about me, and vice versa. But within a man, if a woman does not get, and see, that's how we kind of got to figure out how to bridge the gap, because in marriage, a lot of time a man does not fully meet or at all meet the needs, intimacy in that category, but we still.
Well, I think we gotta lay it up. But I think, and I know we discussed this off camera, but I think too, some of us have unrealistic expectations, when it comes down to certain things. We talked about, I forget the subject matter, but what we was talking about was, if he don't do it the exact same way you want it done, we got a deeper issue than him just not being intimate. We talked about that, right?
We talked about
you cannot expect for him, if what you perceive as being romantic or being intimate, and what we specifically said was, if you write poems and you serenade and he don't do that, it doesn't mean that he lacks. Again, to your point, there should be room for you to do something to please me. We talked about the flower standpoint, so
right. So in that, even though you don't have, even if I don't expect him, and what we were saying was, I can't expect him to maybe on my level. However, if he's doing something to please me, then he has to step outside of the way he is for that moment and adapt to what I am doing. For instance, if I say I don't like flowers and I like sneakers, you get what I'm saying? Then he can't just always buy me flowers and expect me to go, oh my God, I love these. Now, am I appreciative? Yes, because that's his act of service.
But you would have rather had some J's.
I'd rather had some J's, or I'd rather have had some Vapor Max.
Rather.
You can't tell me what to say inside.
No, we don't.
So with that being said, we talked about that. We talked about they gotta be willing to conform. Or adapt. I don't want to say conform, because conform is changing that person in a sense, but they have to be willing to adapt. However, I think both, so we can kind of wrap this up, because we can go all day. We're gonna have to do a part 2, because this is expectations is serious.
Yeah.
Both parties have to be teachable.
Absolutely.
And be willing to satisfy the other party.
Absolutely. I think that's what it all boils down to at the end of the day. No matter what the stumbling block is, your heart should always be to please the other person.
Period.
And I think that's what we're dealing with in a lot of these relationships.
Selfishness.
People are selfish.
Selfishness. Oh my God. All right, y'all. We got to, because we know we have said so much. So we will be back. All right. But y'all, don't forget to like this video, comment, tell us what y'all think. How did y'all see it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And it's okay to disagree.
It is.
We're
absolutely
human.
Okay.
We're all different people.
We definitely want to hear what you got to say about intimacy and sex.
Hello, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So, it's a conversation. We got to talk about it. So, we're going to stop it right here. But make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, we both say goodbye to you.